Welcome back to Lit Sports Online. We got another mixed martial arts video on tap. UFC Fight Night Barboza versus Gaethje preview episode. I know you're excited for this one.
I actually am very excited for this one. So, let's start from the bottom.
Okay. We got an undercard fighter. We want to mention Ross Pearson. Still going strong after winning Ultimate Fighter 9 in 2009. Anything to add?
I just can't believe that this dude is still out there just doing the damn thing. You know, he's a guy that's just incredibly exciting, just a straight brawling style. He's a fighter from the UK, and he's just been out here doing it for so damn long, and has always been like a fan favorite and one of my personal favorites that I just had to give him a shout out and just say I can't believe he's still out there, and I'm super excited to watch him fight. Just had to mention it.
Who's he going to be fighting?
I honestly don't even remember. I just saw Ross Pearson on the bill and immediately got excited. It doesn't matter who he's fighting. It's going to be exciting.
Okay, well there you have it. Moving on to the main card. We've got a women's strawweight bout between Karolina Kowalkiewicz and Michelle Waterson.
Yeah, this fight should be very exciting. It's two of the women who have been towards the top of the division for a long time. Kowalkiewicz, a former title challenger. Michelle Waterson is a former title holder in the World Series of Fighting, I believe, and Invicta. And it's two different styles of striking clashing. That being said, both women have incredible ground games. Both women fought a very talented woman named Felice Herrig, and both of them were able to take her down and dominate her on the ground. And she's a very, very accomplished Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner, and she's also a very good kickboxer. And so in Kowalkiewicz, we see a traditional kind of Dutch style of kickboxing, similar to a Joanna Jędrzejczyk. And she actually fought Joanna Jędrzejczyk a few fights ago. And in Michelle, the Karate Hottie Waterson, we see a karate style stand-up fighter where she has a wider stance, a more centered stance. There's a lot more kicks, a lot more varied kicking games. So this fight I expect to be, like I said, two different stand-up styles and two slightly different ranges clashing. And I think that if Kowalkiewicz is able to push the pace and get inside of Waterson's really long-range heavy kicks with her karate style, she throws a lot of like side kicks, side push kicks, a lot of front kicks, and some real heavy roundhouses. And so Waterson likes to stand a little further of a range than Kowalkiewicz does. But if Kowalkiewicz is able to get in, then I think she'll find some success with the boxing game. I think she has a better boxing game than Michelle Waterson, but either way, it's going to be a really exciting bout, and it's really a question of whose stand-up game is able to be implemented more successfully. And I don't know what's going to happen.
Well, sounds like a pretty even matchup, and I guess we'll see what happens with that one.
For sure.
Moving on, we got a men's featherweight bout. Josh Emmet against Michael Johnson.
So, we got Josh Emmet, who he's one of those dudes that is about 4'9" and just a ball of muscle. Like, he's kind of weird to look at because
he can't really be 4'9" though.
He's a pretty small dude. I mean, featherweight's 145, so he's a pretty small dude. But he's just super like broad-shouldered and just a stocky, like muscly guy for how small he is. It's kind of weird. And like, he has decent head movement. He's pretty quick, but his kind of whole game in the past few fights I've seen him in has been that big power shot. You know, it's been that big punch. He's just going for that knockout. He doesn't throw a lot of combinations, doesn't throw a lot of quick succession strikes, good wrestling and all that. He trains out of Team Alpha Male in Sacramento with Uriah Faber and Cody Garbrandt and all those guys, but he seems to be kind of a headhunter with that big shot more. Michael Johnson, on the other hand, is incredibly well-rounded. Very, very fast, very varied striker. Very good wrestling. I think that it's Michael Johnson's fight to lose if he gets sloppy. He's a lot more mild in the MMA game. He has a lot more fights and, a lot more knocks on the chin, and so he might be the man who has more of a deficiency as far as ability to take punishment goes. But I think he's overall a more skilled fighter, skill for skill. I think he has probably better wrestling, better takedowns, a little quicker. The only thing where I think he suffers is that he has fought as high as welterweight, and I think that at 145 he loses a bit of the pop to his punch. He had some power at lightweight, and I think he went down to featherweight because of the fact that some of the lightweights were overpowering him. And I think it's not so bad as far as how big he is, but I think he loses a little bit of power in his punches. So I think that we could see Michael Johnson take a decision here, or we could see Josh Emmet land a big shot for the finish and get a TKO. Not sure which is going to happen, but either seem pretty likely to me.
And then moving on to the co-main event, we got a middleweight bout between David Branch and Jack Hermansson.
Yep. And again, we're going to come to another fight where I'm going to talk about how good David Branch is, and then he's probably going to lose. The same thing that happened last time. David Branch is great. Fights out of a great camp. His jiu-jitsu camp is great. He's affiliated with Matt Serra and Ricardo Almeida. He's a monster, and he looks so phenomenal, and then he just loses fights that he should win. To me, this should be a gimme fight for David Branch, but we'll see. I don't know what happens with David Branch sometimes. He has kind of just lackluster performances at times, and again, I might be just saying it's a lackluster performance by him, whereas it's a really good performance by the opponent, but David Branch should take this one handily. I don't even know that much about Jack Hermansson. I've seen one of his fights.
Well, so you tend to mention the camps these guys are fighting out of, but how much of a difference does it actually end up making who you're training with?
Ton of difference in a lot of cases. So you tend to you see trends, right? There's a ton of champions that have come out of Jackson Winklejohn in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I could rattle off a giant list of starting with John Jones and Rashad Evans and Andrei Arlovsky and Holly Holm and Misha Tate. Misha Tate was the one who beat Holly Holm, but the list goes on. And then you can talk about AKA, where you got Daniel Cormier, Cain Velasquez, Luke Rockhold, Khabib Nurmagomedov, and then you have, even in the camp that even in the camp that David Branch is affiliated with, you have Matt Serra, who came out of Serra Longo who trained Chris Weidman, and then you have Ricardo Almeida, and you have Edson Barboza and Justin Gaethje, all these high name guys coming out of all these camps, and you do see a trend. It's a rarity that you see somebody come out of a smaller camp that has any sort of long-term success as a champion, and it sounds terrible to say, and it sucks, because you don't want it to just be a kind of a factory cranking out champions, you know what I mean? But it almost is. And you have to look at the level of people that you get to train with, and it's, like I said, it's a rarity that you see people come out of a small camp, where you have a Max Holloway who trains out of a small camp in Hawaii and is incredibly dominant, or you have your Stipe Miocic who trains out of some weird camp in Cleveland that you've never heard of, or there's a couple, or Conor McGregor out of SBG in Ireland. That's completely unexpected. And then you look at your Shooter Box, which trained Anderson Silva and Chris Cyborg and Fabricio Verdum and Vanderlei Silva and all these big names, and the level of competition that you have to compete with in the gym seems to be directly proportional to how successful you are in the UFC.
But do they have like requirements for like actually participate in one of those bigger camps, as you mentioned?
I don't think they have requirements, as in like I don't think they turn away lower level fighters, but I think it it tends to weed out people, and I think it's just a difference in culture as well. And that's not to say that your American Kickboxing Academy with Cain Velasquez and Luke Rockhold and all them is just different than your American top team in Florida, where you have your Tyron Woodley and your Colby Covington and all these people, and then your Henry Hoof's camp is just as good. The Black Zillions, which is no longer around. I can't remember what its next camp is called, but Henry Hooft has a great camp, and there's not necessarily like one way to do it. It's such a young sport that no single team or no single person has figured out the formula. There's not one formula. It's all just different people and where they tend to thrive. You see your Robbie Lawler who goes from camp to camp, and right now he's doing well at American Top Team, and he was a champion out of the Militich fighting system in Ohio in Strikeforce. And then after he left Strikeforce and all this stuff, he came to the UFC, and now he's training at American Top Team. Or I think he left American Top Team a few months ago or before his last fight. But you have certain guys who are successful no matter where they go. But there has to be, there obviously is some sort of correlation to the level of training camp that you fight in and the level of success that you're going to see. So, again, mentioning that David Branch trains with high-level fighters, the Renzo Gracie Academy in New York, and Ray Longo and Matt Serra, it's at least worth mentioning,
And then that brings us to the final fight, the main event of Edson Barboza versus Justin Gaethje. And I'm sure you have a lot to tell us about this one, don't you?
Yeah, I guess so. So, to me, this is a very intriguing fight because it's two of the most prolific leg kickers in the UFC. Edson Barboza, who holds 2 victories via leg kick, which is unheard of at the level of the UFC. You don't see people kicking other dudes in the legs until the other dude gives up. Gaethje uses that as one of his most successful skills. He typically likes to wade in, throw a bunch of big shots in close and dirty boxing range, and kick your leg on the way out or on the way in. Edson Barboza, on the other hand, likes to kick your leg at every possible moment. If you're standing at range, he'll kick your leg. He'll kick it on the way into a combination. He'll kick it on the way out of a combination. So, really, I just want to see who kicks the other's leg more and who takes more damage. Edson Barboza is the most fantastic kicker in the UFC. He has spinning wheel kick knockouts. He has body kick knockouts, leg kick knockouts, roundhouse knockouts. It's insane. But Justin Gaethje is one of the kings of violence. He literally just puts his hands up and just walks straight forward and just throws everything he has. So this fight just promises to be exciting. And I really, really want to see whose legs get kicked out from under them.
So what's the chance this goes to a decision?
Not very likely. My guesses are that either Edson Barboza kicks Gaethje to death or Gaethje lands a big shot on Edson Barboza's chin. We've seen Edson Barboza get dropped by shots before. We saw Donald Cerrone beat him by dropping him with a jab. So if Gaethje can land a shot like he did on James Vick on Edson Barboza, then lights out for Edson Barboza. But if Gaethje can't get inside of Edson Barboza's kicks, which are the fastest I've ever seen in my life, if he can't get inside that kicking range, he's in for a long, maybe very short, but seemingly long night.
Well, there you have it, folks. That's our preview episode for UFC Fight Night Barboza versus Gaethje. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment. Till next time, we'll see you.
Hickenlooper? That's a name.
It's a name. It's a last name.
What's his first name?
I think it's like John or something.
I thought his full name was Hickenlooper.
No, just his last name's Hickenlooper.
Dude, imagine if his full name, like his first name is Hicken, his last name is Looper. That's honestly what I was thinking this whole time. That's so
No.
much funnier though. He's just really into Bruce Willis movies about time travel. Looper? Nobody?
Yeah.
Sorry, should I have said Joseph Gordon-Levitt movies?
Yeah, Joseph Gordon-Levitt is tight.
I wish that was his full name.
Alright, you guys ready?
I don't think so.
Yeah, you don't seem ready. You ready, rookie? You look ready.
Alright, I'm ready.